My husband has a son from a past partner, and I might let another man raise him.
Hold up, Sam. How do we know? Do we have the DNA test?
Well, John, luckily it's Mother May I Have a DNA Test Week on the OK Storytime podcast. So let's jump in to what this person has to say. My husband, 32 male, and I, 29 female, have been a pretty typical couple up until now.
I would say so.
Yeah, things are changing. Dual income, no kids, and we're hoping to have one or two within the next few years, but are in no rush and are enjoying this time in our lives. Again, until now. By the way, this comes from LoveChild5346. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I have a white collar job and he works for a startup. Of course, we had our problems. What couple doesn't? But I've always managed to work through them and seem to always come out stronger. And out of the blue, John, something happens.
Here, what happens?
We got our inciting incident. My husband received a Facebook message over the weekend from a woman saying that he is the father of her 5-year-old son.
Okay, why is it every time there's a Facebook message, it's never like, hey, you know, you dropped $100, or like, hey,
or like, I'm a Nigerian prince and I need to give you $2 million.
That would be great
to move funds for the heir of my throne. It's never that.
It's always, oh, here's your secret son. Oh, here's the affair partner that your guy's sleeping with. It's never good news.
I want good news in my Facebook messages.
Please.
I never get any.
Yeah.
Maybe one day the Nigerian prince will be waiting for me.
All of
roses.
All of our Facebook messages is to just stop yelling into the microphone.
Oh, no.
You know?
Yeah, and we won't. We are going to continue yelling. So although he didn't immediately remember who she was, it's a player, after confirming a few details, he was able to place her as a one-night stand right before we just started dating.
I mean, that's pretty compelling evidence.
Man is prolific.
That's not good.
Man was slanging wang.
That's not good.
Sowing wild oats. I was like, who is she again? Oh, that one. That's Sally. That's Sally number 4. Although it might seem that there could be overlap between her and me, given the kid's birthday, and math. Yikes. I do believe him when he said that he slept with her only once a month before we started dating.
Very regimented. Okay.
The punctuation on that is a little sus. Is it you only slept with her once a month or once a month before we started dating?
I mean, this is sounding like once a month. Dude.
No, it's not. No way.
I guess there isn't. If it's a one-night stand, it just like it's a one-night stand.
It's a one-night stand.
Yeah, it's not a one.
It's
dude,
a one-night
once
stand a month.
A once-a-month stand is crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, dude. He's got her on that monthly delivery path.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can we bump it back a little bit? You know, I'm a little busy this week.
I need a 6-week thing. You know, I got this new girl on the block.
I can squeeze it in on the 31st just so we stay, you know.
Well, this isn't an infidelity situation. On the one hand, though, I'm irrationally angry with him. This should not be my problem. And I was not the one who decided to have unprotected, spicy sleep with someone I did not know while wasted.
Amen.
Amen, sister. Well, we bought a house a year ago that in hindsight was probably more of a reach than we should have done. So money is very tight. At this point in time, we live in a completely different province. So logistically speaking, having a relationship with this child will be difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it wouldn't be worth it. I'm just saying it will be harder than if we were still in the same city. So already OP is like, I want to make this relationship with this kid work for my husband.
Yes.
So I mean that's kind of a nice move on her part.
A W move because again, assuming what we know is true, which is that they basically conceived the baby before the relationship. It's like, okay, you can't like fault him for that, you know. So, but now it's like, okay, my husband.
That was me way long ago. I'm a different person.
That was
now.
a whole 30 days before I met you.
Yeah, when I met you, I was a changed man.
Yeah, let me tell you what a calendar.
I was a father, in fact.
Yeah.
But I took on that fatherly duty. At the same time, I'm likely getting ahead of myself as there's no confirmation that he is even his son.
Yep.
They don't know. Where's the DNA test?
Gotta give it to me.
She has a meeting with her lawyer on September 8th to discuss how to go about getting a paternity test done, which to me implies that since lawyers are getting involved, she will be going after him for that money, that cash moolah, which she is entitled to and is her right if he is his son. Which I love how OP is like, I guess so.
I mean, she's so like, I feel like she's very like level-headed and reasonable, very, very down to earth and just like, this is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Which I feel like if I was getting this Facebook message, I don't know if I would be as reasonable as OP. So props to you, OP,
100%.
For weighing both sides.
I'm actually curious for everyone watching. Comment below if you think that they should only be entitled to like the husband side of the money, because if there's intermingled funds, like, is that really like? I feel like
is that fair?
Yeah, is that fair? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, a different side of me feels robbed, and the protective side of me also feels like my husband has been robbed, albeit in a different way. He didn't know about this child and consequently has missed many of the traditional milestones. He broke down in the middle of our living room, apologizing and saying that he had always imagined that his children would be with me and that this is not the kind of father he wanted to be.
I mean, it does suck. Like he didn't know.
He didn't know.
You kind of, I mean, I guess you can blame him for, doing the
not
deed.
wrapping the willy.
But like, I do still feel for him.
Yeah. And also I think this reaction, like if I was the wife, I'm like, all right, damn, I got a good one.
That's good.
Yeah. It's like he wants to be a good father. That's what he really, he's like sad.
What do you want to hear as a wife?
Green flag. His first instinct, though, if it comes to it, is to pay child support, but to not have any presence in his life since his future family is with me.
Oh, he's like, babe, I want to be the best father ever, but only to your children.
Only to you, I guess. I mean,
not W.
I feel like a less of a W.
Yeah, less of a W.
But at least you, I guess, know he's committed to you. I don't know. Is that a W or an L?
I don't think, honestly, I don't think it is.
I feel it's less of a W, but I would love to know what y'all think. And given how my post probably sounds, you would think this would make me happy. But that actually just made me even sadder and even more disappointed in my husband. The kid looks exactly like how my husband looked at 5. And I think he should get to know him, even if this impacts my life negatively, since this is not the kid's fault. W wife.
Yep.
I told him to just reflect for a while and to not make any decisions until we know more. But I am hoping that once the shock is worn off, he'll want to have a relationship with him. Also, John, if you're new here, which I know you are, you just came.
I don't know what this is.
There are multiple parts to this story.
Oh,
so make sure to follow us on iHeart or Apple Podcasts. We're gonna get back to the story. But if you're new here, come on. This is a family right here. We go live every weekday. I mean, it's freaking awesome. Come into the fold. Yeah. We'll love you. We'll accept you. We'll give you little cute kisses right before you go to sleep.
Oh, my.
All right. But on Facebook, she was rambling and made it sound like the kid had a hard life and was mistreated by her previous partner who was presenting as the father. So on top of it, this is a sad situation. So OP's like, hey, like, you kind of have a responsibility. Man up. Do something.
Yeah. Like this is your kid.
This is your
you
kid.
Did the deed, and the kid proceeds.
Yeah, I feel like the moral compass of OP is pretty high, which is pretty great. I mean, like you don't throw any woman in this situation and have her act like. I feel like OP is like balanced and like, all right, like be the best man you can be.
As far as like the OK Storytime podcast principles, like OP is kind of like hitting every checkbox so far, I would say.
I don't know if this is even relevant, but the mother of his child is not the most stable person. There's a very loose connection between her and me, although I don't know her personally. I have heard of her throughout the years via mutual friends. My best friend's boyfriend's brother used to be friends with her. That is quite the grapevine.
Something, though.
So this is a pretty distant connection. And I remember the stories showing she's not the most sane person in the world. So it's like kind of having her in the fold, you're inviting drama into your life.
Yeah.
At the same time, it meant nothing. And the stories were amusing as I had nothing to do with her. But now this is the person he, and by extension, I will maybe have to co-parent with.
Mm-hmm.
And although my husband and I make a typical middle-class income, $80K combined, so we're not hurting, but by no means are we wealthy, my parents have a lot of money. Let's go. And so part of me wonders if she will go after me or what her expectations are when it comes to that. So she's like, I see those dollar signs in the parents.
Is that even, is that a thing? Grandparental rights?
Well,
transferred up to get the money?
I don't think it is a thing, but what she, like, if she's like, oh, I can sue them for everything they have.
Yeah.
And I know that their parents are going to help out. Like, I can sue for the 5 years of back pay.
Oh, that's a lot.
5 years of monthly back pay for child support. That's like at least, let's say $1,000 minimum per month.
And you just go and, get rid of the grandparents. OP inherits all the money. Now you go after that. Boom.
Boom. Are you saying get rid of
get rid of them.
Get rid of them.
Like,
get that
this
inheritance.
Facebook lady's
ASAP.
like, all right, let me go real crazy on these grandparents. They're gone.
Sayonara,
they're out of the picture.
Sleep with the fishes.
All of her family's inheritance goes to OP. Now she can sue her for millions.
Yeah, millions. But I'm definitely getting ahead of myself. The only people we have told so far are my parents. He has a better relationship with my parents than with his, and they told us not to make decisions at the moment until we know what is going on, that the child may not even be his.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we have not done the paternity test, so we're getting ahead of ourselves. And that it is suspect that she is only getting in touch with us now. They advised us to reduce both of our online footprints, especially his, delete LinkedIn, make Instagram and Facebook completely private, etc., limit contact with her, and wait until her lawyer formally contacts him for a paternity test and child support and go from there. I, generally speaking, tend to believe things at face value and can be naive sometimes, so it was hard for me to hear that she could be contacting us for selfish reasons. She kept saying she wanted to do right by her son and for him to know his father. The point was not to give her and her lawyer any more ammunition. I feel their reality, their wealth, has forced them to be more cautious and calculated, as this type of thing has happened in their circle and has turned out to be a money grab. But I guess they are right. So it seems like the parents, because they're wealthy, have had people sue them or go after them for like various things, or like, hey, don't believe everyone who comes at you with a lawsuit and a paternity test.
Dude,
order.
When you have multiple people coming after, that's crazy.
I mean, dude, I feel like it happens.
It does happen.
I do think that, I guess, like the sage wisdom of the parents might help in this situation.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. Since we spoke to my parents, he has not responded to any of her Facebook messages, I guess, to not give her extra ammo in the lawsuit or whatever.
Right.
The most recent one she has sent was whether or not he wanted to get to know his son. I guess I don't really have a question, but more needed to rant since I cannot really talk to my friends about this. I'm not sure what my next step should be, how I even should feel about the situation, and I need tips on how to temper the selfish side of me. I need to be there for him, but I'm having a hard time even looking at him in the eyes. And although my vows do mean something and I would not actually do this, part of me just wants to leave, as this was not what I signed up for. And our reality, no matter what happens next, will be very different going forward. I mean, yeah. Super different. Different. I mean, like, there's no escaping it. I do love, again, that OP is like feeling this duty to the relationship. She's not just trying to abandon ship, and recognizing these emotions that might not be like completely rational or completely what she actually wants to do deep down if she's following her moral compass. Like these emotions exist.
She's not letting the emotions take her to a place of making a potentially rash decision, but she's like, hey, I am feeling these things. I'm acknowledging these things and trying to sift through and figure out what is the best thing to do here. Because it's a crazy situation.
It's a crazy situation, and I think it's about to get crazier.
Man, it's been getting crazy already, but we don't know if this secret son is actually the secret son.
Yeah, and just for TLDR for everyone who's just coming into this one, again, listen to the first part if you haven't already. But basically, Opie's husband got a message from a woman claiming that her 5-year-old is his son. And Opie's been pretty balanced about this whole thing. She wants him to have a relationship with the son. The guy's like, I don't know if I really want to. And now OP's like, hey, you have a responsibility. She's kind of pushing him to have a relationship. But let's see what happens. We're going into the edit. So
let's go.
I want to thank everyone who's taking the opportunity to respond. And I'm absolutely overwhelmed by everyone's support. I'm definitely less emotional this morning. And that is largely due to the community. So thank you. A few points. I've told this story in the comments, but basically, at the time the one night stand happened, she had just broken up with her boyfriend and then got back together with him not long after. So OP's husband was like the meat in the middle, as it were.
She's like, oh, I don't got my boyfriend anymore. Let's go back to the OG daddy-o.
Yep. And then bada bing, bada boom. She ping-ponged.
Yep.
She ping-ponged.
Ping-ponging.
The ex-boyfriend claimed paternity, but they are no longer together. So I think that ex-boyfriend thinks that he is the dad. She has told us that he is aware that my husband is likely the father. Okay. But I am not sure if he accepted this at face value or if a paternity test has been done or what his current relationship to her son is. For the moment, we are limiting contact with her, so I'm not in a position to ask these questions. It's been pointed out to me that I have contradictory statements in my posts versus in the comments. That is absolutely true, as I felt and am still feeling very conflicted about the situation. From a moral standpoint, I would hope that my husband does more than the bare minimum, as I feel that this is in the best interest of the child, and I will get over myself and any doubt that I currently have. But personally, if the roles were reversed, I would have a hard time making payments and not playing an active role. I would want to either be involved or not at all, but that's just me. At the same time, I wish that this had never happened, that we could have continued on living in oblivion, and that I wouldn't have to contribute time and financial resources to a situation that I did not cause. So yes, I feel conflicted. And hey,
so fair.
So ridiculously fair.
Yeah.
This is a difficult situation. If you weren't conflicted, I would be like, are you human?
Yeah.
Are you a real person?
Exactly. And I think OP is like trying to figure, and you know, it's another thing to shout out OP for, is she hasn't like kind of pushed that agenda, quote unquote, on the husband yet. She's like, hey, this is what I would like to see from it. This is like what I would like to see from a partner that I hopefully will spend the rest of my life with. But I haven't like yet just like, she didn't immediately drop the hammer and be like, what are you doing? Why aren't you doing this? You know, kind of like letting and seeing where the dust falls and how the husband after, because she's like, let me settle down. Let the dust settle.
Let me give you the space to make your own decision.
Exactly.
Yeah. She goes on to say, if the kid is in a harmful environment, all bets are off and we'll go for custody, provided my husband is the father. And edit 2. Took away stuff about not wanting to double up on support. If someone has already claimed paternity and is paying support, as this is not really relevant. Again, if you're new here, make sure to follow us on the iHeart app or Apple Podcasts. Let's get back to the story. But I guess it seems like what they're saying here is, I don't know if we're going to double up if someone has already claimed support, like double up paying child support,
right?
Like her paying and him paying.
If the boyfriend,
maybe him paying and doubling up on top of what this other guy is already paying.
I think that's what I understand it as, is like, if the boyfriend has been like paying maybe even more than child support, just like fully like, you know, funding at least his share of everything, they're like, hey, the kid already has, you know, 2 incomes coming in. We don't necessarily need to be obligated to add to it. Yeah, I think which makes sense. It's like, hey, like just play like an active role in the kid's life, I guess, versus just like kind of dumping money on him.
Yeah. Also with the paternity thing, you can do a court-ordered paternity test, right?
Yeah.
So like, but how do they even make you do that?
As the wise Drake once said, paternity testing for women that I've never slept with, I'm legally obligated if they request it. So if there is a formal request,
really,
I believe you are legally obligated.
So someone random that listens to us could be like, I formally request that I've never met.
You're legally obligated if she requests it.
So edit 3. It's more apparent in the comments than in my post, but I have been trying to hide how I really feel and have been trying to be supportive while dealing with my own stuff myself. He doesn't know a lot of how I am feeling, disappointment that he doesn't seem to want to step up at the moment. This is the feelings that she's talking about. He doesn't know. Fear of taking on a child when we are currently childless, and fear of dealing with the baby mama. Those are real fears. And I feel that if I share that at this time without truly understanding my own feelings, I will just be making things worse. He needs my support, not my judgment. Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Look at that.
OP is great. OP's a real one.
Yeah.
Damn, what a bar.
Yeah.
What a bar.
He's my support, not my judgment.
Sheesh. That's a line. That should be a line in some song. I've reached out to a couples counselor this morning so that this can be unpacked in a constructive way.
Boom.
Oh, green flag after green flag. And he'll hopefully feel he can share things that he is likely hiding from me as well. He's also the type of guy to have an initial reaction, but then to dwell and think things through and come to a different conclusion. So his stance can and will likely change a bit. I don't have the greatest poker face, so you probably will tell a bit how I'm feeling, but we're pretty good at discussing things like adults. And he knows that if I'm not sharing, it's because I'm trying to figure things out. Healthy relationship.
That's amazing.
And John, we have an update. We have an update coming. But before we hop into that update, any conspiracy theories about what you think is going to happen? Any predictions? How are we feeling about their communication style? How are you feeling about everything right now?
Opie's handling everything very well. Again, exuding all of the OK Storytime podcast principles here, like communicating early and often, understanding the communication styles, giving him space, but trying to be supportive. I honestly think, as far as a conspiracy theory, remember the line that said he looks exactly like the husband did at 5 years old? If you look exactly the same, especially like comparing the childhood pictures, not even just like, how he looks now, like, he has like similar eyes or something like that. I think this is, and the one night stand, I think this is a child.
Yeah, it does feel likely.
Yeah, we don't have the proof yet.
We don't have the proof, but it does feel likely.
Yeah.
It almost like feels better to get it out of the way, do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to settle in one direction or the other and then be blindsided when it's the opposite judgment. It's like, that's not my kid, and then it is, or that is my kid, and then it's not. You don't want to build up like an emotional attachment to one or another outcome.
Yeah, rip the Band-Aid. Although, like, that's a tough. It's like, okay, you just need to bite the bullet and just like go for it.
Easy advice to give, hard advice
to take. Yeah.
But we got an update. So my thoughts were all over the place, and I was very conflicted. I'm not super proud of my reaction, but I was trying to be as open and honest about my thoughts as possible. And now that things have settled in my head, we have more information. And my perspective has changed. My husband was aware that I made the post because I needed to talk to someone, and he felt that Reddit would be a good outlet. Since he is a more private person than I am, he had asked that I not talk too much about how he was feeling unless it was relevant to my own feelings, which is why it was focused on me. Also, because of the shock, I may not have portrayed him in the best light. He's very kind, he's empathetic, he's supportive, and has always had my back for everything, even before we were together. He is my person, and this situation has not changed that.
So what has changed?
All right, I think we're about to find out.
God.
When I said that leaving him had crossed my mind, it was the truth. But after talking to a therapist, I realized that this stemmed from the fact that I am terrified of being a parent and wasn't even sure if deep down I really wanted kids at all. I have diagnosed infertility issues and deep down never truly thought I would be able to have children. There are options that we can pursue when ready, but there's no guarantee, so it was easier to just not really think about it. At the end of the day, when I imagined having the conversation regarding divorce and how it would play out, and even in my imagination, I couldn't say the words to him, never mind in real life. So that clarified that this was just fear talking.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a good point out too of, hey, I don't know if I'm ready to be a mom, and does this mean I'm gonna what's gonna happen? Do I, and there'll never be a perfect situation, but yeah, it would be kind of implied that she would kind of be in the mix somehow, right?
But she doesn't have to be like
she doesn't have to
insanely involved.
There's a way
whatever.
I think that they can make it pretty clean considering the situation.
Yeah, but again, I just want to focus on how healthy OP is processing all of this news, going to a therapist, a couples counselor, really sitting with her feelings without reacting. It's just like a master class in how to deal with crazy information.
Dude,
this is one of the crazy situations that can happen to you.
Yep.
And OP is really dealing with it with a lot of grace and poise.
Yeah.
The title is a bit misleading regarding the math, though. The kid is 5.5, and my husband and I have been together for a little over 6 years, married for a bit over 3. 5.5.
Which could work because of 9 months of pregnancy, and some people like myself, getting up to 10, 11, 12, 13 months.
Well, it's just seeming like there's overlap.
It's even on the super close.
It's super close.
Right on the line.
Maybe they weren't official, for the first thing, and then he cut it off once it was official.
That's true.
My husband and I were actually very good friends for a few years before we began seeing each other, and were dating about 3 months before we had the exclusivity talk. He slept with the mother during the initial stages of our relationship, and I was fully aware at the time that they had met online and had gone out once. Ironically enough, he told her he didn't want to pursue things with her because he realized he had deep feelings for me, and his guilt about sleeping with her prompted the exclusivity talk. Okay.
Wow.
The timeline kind of lines up.
Yeah, and it was like communicated at the time.
Dude.
Yeah.
Communicating early and often.
Dude,
gosh,
great.
dang.
Super early.
Wow. That's
so
beautiful.
Preconception early.
Preconception. A lot of people, including my parents, have a bit of an issue with the timing, but he did not cheat on me, and that is in bold, ladies and gentlemen. He did not cheat, and it doesn't seem like he did. When we started seeing each other, we had said that we would always be friends first and would always be open and honest with each other, even if it's difficult. And I have no reason to believe that he slept with her since that time. But, John,
Sam,
we got the next part of the story, so let's dive in.
Oh, God.
After a lot of soul searching on David's part, this is hubby's part, he came to the conclusion that as much as it would be easier to bury his head in the sand and pretend that this never happened, Alex is his son. Again, have we done the paternity test? I don't know if we know.
We're not sure.
And at the very minimum, he needs to make sure he is safe and he is happy. If he does nothing, he will think about this every single day for the rest of his life. And if we do decide to have kids, they will be an even bigger reminder of his other son. At one point, it came out that he had said that he didn't want to be involved initially, and it was because that this is what he thought I wanted to hear. And that if he had to pick between his son and his marriage, he was choosing his marriage.
And hence the communication.
Hence the communication.
Because her reaction to that, she wanted the opposite. She's like,
no, but stand up, be a man.
Yeah, like I want to see you be an active father. Like that's what I want from you. And he was like, I was only saying that because I thought that's what he wanted. Communication. We all wanted the same thing at the end.
That's beautiful.
This could have burned down.
Yeah.
If the strong communication was not that.
Yeah. But that he didn't really know if he could move forward if it actually came to that. From my side of things, what I wanted was for him to make his decision independent of what I thought and wanted, because ultimately, if something happened to me, he would still have to deal with the consequences of partaking in his son's life. And he can't undertake something of that magnitude just for me. The truth of the matter is, though, that I know my husband very well, at the end of the day, he wouldn't have been able to live with himself if he ignored the situation. When it came down to it, the reason I was having such an issue with things is because I am not a kid person. OP said earlier, he's not even sure he wanted kids.
Not sure.
It was discussed, like, oh, maybe we have 2 kids or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But when it came to it and she saw there was a kid that OP's husband could be involved with, she's like, wait, I don't know if I want that.
That makes it real. And she it was essentially infertile.
Yeah.
That, like you said earlier. So it's like, I could totally see how you're totally not mentally prepared.
Blindsided.
Like, I couldn't even have kids if I wanted to potentially.
Yeah. So she goes on to say, kids scare the crap out of me, and I have a hard time relating to them. I love kids. I think they're super cute, and watching them just get something is amazing. And they bring a lot of joy to your life. It is so insanely cool seeing them become their own person. But kids don't like me very much. Likely because I become super nervous about them. Likely because I become super nervous around them. Also, the amount of pressure and responsibility when responsible for another human being, making sure that they grow up happy and become productive members of society. Heck, even making sure they stay alive, it's overwhelming.
That is true.
I don't know how parents get up in the morning. But at the end of the day, as I said before, David is my person. And we'll get through this together. If it comes to that, more below, being parent to a 5-year-old will be a learning curve for both of us, but I will be the best step parent that I can be, and he will feel nothing but love from both of us. If we have other kids in the future, Alex will be treated the exact same way. That was the emotional stuff. Now on to the practical. We had a home DNA test. All right, drum roll, roll. And it was confirmed that my husband is the father.
Oh, man.
He is daddy.
Dude, I mean, not surprised.
Yeah, we're not surprised. He looks exactly like him.
But now it's 110%.
Now it's real. Not that there was any doubt in my mind. The situation is even more messed up than I thought, though. Jessica, the mother, and David spoke on the phone, and she told him a few things that were concerning. 1, Alex, the son, is currently living with his father, Sam. I guess a stepfather would be more appropriate, but keep reading. From what we can guess, He's been living there since 2013, and this raised a bunch of red flags. So I think the father took custody because Jessica is so unstable.
Oh.
The father's name is Sam. My name is Sam.
No relation. No correlation.
No relation. I promise this is not about me. Children's Aid wouldn't place a child with someone they believe is abusive, and even more telling, they tend to favor the mother. So this is weird. So basically, they gave it with a dad, and so the mother has to be doing something really effed up if they're putting it full custody with the dad.
Full custody with the dad, yeah.
Because of a complaint that Jessica lodged in 2013, Sam was charged for hurting Alex, but he was acquitted. She says in 2013, she voluntarily placed Sam in foster care because she kept passing out and thought it was dangerous, as it would mean Alex was alone. Yeah, I don't know how this works, but I have a hard time believing that there are no resources available for this situation. Children's Aid is on Sam's side, and in the files, she is not portrayed in a good light at all. She did not realize that David had moved 8 hours away. She assumed we were still in the same city. She has another court case soon regarding custody. Sam knows that Alex is not his son. So Sam is the guy that was with Jessica, the mother, and then kind of took on a paternal role for this kid that's not actually his kid.
Yeah, and we at first it was unclear if Sam even knew.
Yeah,
or if Jessica lied, but he knows.
But is in denial and thinks that the DNA test is wrong since it is a home test. He wants to keep full custody of his son, and he's been raising the kid for 5 years.
Yeah,
he's dad.
He's like, listen,
and the kid knows him as dad.
Yeah, if you're raising a kid for 5.5 years, that's it's kind of traumatic. If the kid is just pulled away and placed with someone else,
Yeah, exactly. He wants to keep full custody of his son. Jessica wants to have full custody of her son and is hoping that by throwing bio dad into the mix, the courts will take Alex away from Sam and award him to her.
So now we get the truth. See
now we get the play.
Yeah, this is where because at first it's like, what are her motives? Is it money? Is it like whatever? So she's kind of using OP and her husband as pawns to try and get the full custody.
And
back.
Again, if the son was taken away, if Alex was taken away from Jessica, then Jessica was probably doing something pretty bad for the court to favor full custody to the father.
And also pretty honestly kind of crazy and just a long shot of a plan to be like, oh, hey, let me hit up this guy I had a one-night stand with 5.5 years ago and see if I can like use him and finagle it to like, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I think she's closer to getting her way than she was initially.
That, you know what? I guess probably.
I mean, also, I think at this point, if I'm OP and OP's husband, I'm like, what is the best outcome for this kid? Yeah. And I'm I feel like the kid staying with the dad, the dad that's been raising him is
Sam.
Is probably the best move.
Have the kids stay with Sam,
and then maybe you get visitation and help
child support. Exactly. I think that's the best. Where it's like, hey, let me help ease the financial burden. Let me, hey, you need a babysitter, something like that. Like figure out some sort of visitation and interaction.
It could be like a 2.5 men situation. You got your two dads, and they love each other very much and love you very much.
There you go.
Yeah. And that we can have visitation, or probably more accurately, pay supports and stay away. Yeah, it's a crap show, and I feel like I'm living in a soap opera. David asks that the Children's Aid and the court papers be sent to him so he could formulate a plan. Based on what we know, which admittedly isn't much, it seems as though Sam is a good father.
Okay.
There are tons of Facebook posts of Alex building a snow fort, Alex swimming in lakes with his dad, Alex dressing up as Batman, just normal stuff you expect to see from a proud father. Jessica, not so much. Honestly, she looks high in most photos based on the reason as to why she gave him up temporarily, the photos, and the fact that he isn't living with her. I'm assuming she is a regular substance user, but I'm just guessing. David ultimately wants what is best for Alex, and if it means having him with us full time, so be it. But right now, it seems horrible, this is kind of what we said, to pull a 5-year-old from the only home he really knows because of DNA. So we are waiting for the files, and we'll be talking to the caseworker to see if our impression is right. We don't trust Jessica at all.
Yeah.
As you shouldn't. So she is not an option. If it turns out that there are issues with Sam, we will fight for custody. If Alex is happy, well-adjusted, and Sam is a good dad, like we believe, after due diligence and a conversation with Sam to see how he feels, and if he is okay with everything, David will be signing away his rights and give Sam his medical and contact information in case it is needed. He also had the idea to write a letter to Alex explaining his actions, that he found out about him at 5, but it seemed like he had a good home and a great dad, and felt like what he is doing was in his best interest, but that he loves him and is there for him, and he can reach out if and when he is ready, that Sam can give to Alex when he is older if he wants to. I think that's really, really, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, this is the way. This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah.
I mean, a hard situation.
Yeah.
Really, really hard. But I feel like, again, at every moment here, it feels like they've been doing what's best for each other and best for the kid.
Yeah. But dude, the just imagine the gut wrenching jolts of going from like, okay,
whiplash.
do we want to have this kid and like raise it, like, oh, not sure, is this gonna blow up our lives? So like, all right, they kind of like mentally like, all right, we're prepared if this is the case
to take the kid in,
and then it's like, no, like you might not get any access to the kid. Yeah, what a roller coaster.
Roller coaster. Of course, it will ultimately be Sam's decision as to whether or not he wants to tell Alex about his bio dad. I'm not sure if this is the right thing, but it seems horrible to make a 5-year-old go live with complete strangers 8 hours away from mom and dad if it can be helped. So Sam is the one that has been playing with him and taking care of him when he is sick. Sam is his dad.
Mm-hmm.
We have a big battle ahead of ourselves, though. I don't really have any questions, but if anyone has any advice on navigating this, opinions, etc., well, this is the internet, so have at it. And we got some edits. But and some updates from OP. But John, any more thoughts on it before we get into the edits and the update?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's definitely the move to keep it with Sam, the dad that's been raising this child the whole time. I think honestly, what could be good, and they kind of essentially said this, but is to sit down with Sam and be like, how can we be helpful? Like what is useful?
Yeah, like can they provide paternity support or can they provide child support just to like help improve the kid's life a bit?
Yeah,
you know,
money. I mean, how is more money? I mean, they say more money, more problems, but like, I feel like them obviously contributing financially would be helpful, and then I'm sure there's probably ways. And if they come to Sam too with that, like, hey, what do you need help with? I'm sure that's going to foster like a really good relationship between them, and then that will, probably give them more access to.
Yeah, maybe it's like saving for a college fund or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly. Like whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But we got an edit and some updates. So we were exploring the possibility of setting up a trust. Okay,
dude.
Which we will contribute to for when he turns 21 or so, regardless of how this plays out. I should have mentioned it in the letter. We got some relevant comments with some responses from OP. So on my inbox, Troy says, well, given that we have heard about Jessica, I don't know that Sam's so weird for distrusting the at-home paternity test. It's easy enough to get fake negative results if you swap the swab for someone else's.
Yeah.
That's why the court will only accept official tests. If she is just trying to get Sam to back off so she can regain custody, it would be in her interest to fake a negative result, hoping that just the knowledge he is not the bio father will get him to abandon the child. And OP responds, crap. I had never thought of that. As things progress, we will need to do the legal one, but still, I wouldn't put it past her. There's no doubt in my mind that hubby is the biological father. Dates match up perfectly, and he's pretty much my hubby's clone and looks nothing like Sam. But from his perspective, I can see why he would think that. And Zombies and Pandas, oh my, says, I mean, how did the home test happen? Did she have any chance to mess with it? And OP responds, I don't know how she would have, to be honest. When I said home test, I really should have said this is not a DNA test that we can legally submit to court. We were both sent kits via mail at our homes, and we both sent cheek swabs to a lab. I'm not sure how it could have been faked unless David has another bio kid running around somewhere, and Jessica sent this kid's swab instead of Alex's. But I'm more sympathetic as to why Sam is saying that it's not accurate. As another post mentioned, it's likely that deep down he's known for a bit, but does not care since he's raised him from birth. And so we actually have another commenter in response from OP.
Oh.
That I think will shed more light on what's going on here. And a commenter talks about being a father. It's just not about DNA. It's actually like about, the relationship you have with the kid.
Yep.
And OP responds, it's denial. And I get it. He's gone this long thinking Alex is his son. My only fear is that if it is ever legally confirmed, I would hope it wouldn't change his feelings. But one step at a time, right? I know people get acquitted of things that they are guilty of. I just don't know what the right thing to do here is. We are trying to corroborate the story with the paperwork, the casework, and other people who know him. And at a certain point, if Children's Aid is still involved, but believe the assault complaint is unfounded and the courts believe he was not guilty, you want to believe that they are right. On the other hand, although the mother is unreliable, that doesn't mean she is lying.
Right.
I think the letter is just to make my husband feel better because it ultimately is Sam's choice as to whether he wants to say something to Alex later on. And if he decides not to, it's his prerogative. David's fear is that Alex will find out later on and will think that he didn't want anything to do with him, when the reality is that he just doesn't want to make things harder for him. I mean, if Sam is cool with David having a relationship with Alex at this point, David would love that. But since his denial goes very deep, he just can't see Sam being okay with that at this point. Things change, though, and who knows how this will play out. We got one more comment from someone, Lizzie6692, that says, just so you know, that even a legal DNA test may not have any sort of impact on custody. In many states, particularly ones where there is a presumption of paternity associated with marriage, if you act as the father for a certain amount of time, usually well under 5 years, I believe, then you are legally the father. Your husband may not have any sort of claim to Alex at all at that point.
But like, if you think about it, right, it's like what we've been saying this whole time. This kid has been raised by this guy for over 5 years. So it's like way more destructive to like rip him out.
Exactly.
Versus like, oh, hey, here's this stranger that like, and the kid can't even understand.
No. You know? I think it's best for the kid, Alex, to stay with the current father, Sam.
Yeah.
But that's where that story ends.
Yeah.
We got to know more.
The kid, this was 9 years ago. So the kid's probably like 14, 15.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Dude, that's so true. I wonder how it all shook out.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Hope he's okay. But I hope you like this story. There's more stories like it. Just go through and binge our podcast catalog. We have 2,000 plus episodes. How many hours of content, John?
53 continuous days.
53 continuous days of episodes. So go check it out. Have fun.
I met my biological father without my parents' consent.
I think that's fine.
I recently turned 18, giving me the legal right to be able to get in contact with my father, who is the baby juice donor, if you catch my drift. I was conceived through a baby juice donation. Gotta love it. And have known this for most of my life. I have wanted to know since the age of 13 that I was going to want to make a relationship with my father, the biological one.
Yeah.
By the way, this comes from Donderson. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. However, my parents have always been against this. They have given reasons which are valid points, like my father might not want to meet me and I could ruin his life somehow.
That is crazy. That's crazy.
Ruin his life somehow as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could say like, hey, like it's awesome that you want to meet your father. Sometimes like they may not, they may not want to meet you, or often people who donate that baby juice sign a thing that's like, oh, I don't want contact with my person. Like, I don't want them to release my name or whatever. So that is, because some people are squeezing that juice like, once a week. Like people do that shit like a full time. Yeah. People make a living squeezing baby juice out.
Oh yeah, dude.
Of themselves.
Just squanching it.
Yeah, dude. I remember in college, I would get ads for that nonstop.
And bro, that would have been the appreciation of
that seed. Oh, dude, it's going through the roof.
Insanity.
Going through the roof.
Insanity.
I didn't do it. I talked to my mom about it. She's like, don't do that. I'm like, Mom, $1,000?
Dude, $1,000 back in college. You're like, yo, I'm rich.
Yeah, dude, for doing something I was doing already.
Yeah, I'm doing this for free.
Yeah, dude. That's like basically passive income.
Oh my God. But despite my parents' unsupportiveness, I went and did it anyways, and I found him on Facebook. Wow. Oh God. Of course, I was thinking that anything could happen, but he was the nicest people. He was one of the nicest people ever, and proved to me how much I want to have a good relationship with him. To cut a long story short, we decided on a place and time to meet each other, and we did. I was able to go back to his house. I met his family, his wife, kids, brother.
Oh my God, this guy totally opened up his life to OP. That's beautiful.
Absolutely. And has other kids of his own and everything.
No
it's like,
way.
Yo, these are your literal biological half siblings. Like,
wow.
This is crazy.
OP has a whole new family.
Right? He did have a sister, but I didn't get to meet her on that occasion. Once I got home, my parents sat down at the dinner table and were waiting for me in silence in an extremely intimidating manner.
Oh. How do they know?
I don't know, but I'm also getting from the first comment about ruining a life in this, they're kind of whack.
I think they're insecure.
Insecure? You ask how they know? Dude, they got bugs in their head. They put a chip in their head. They know where they're at all the time.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook monitoring.
Could have, the password.
I'm pretty sure my parents had an app installed on my phone that they could read all my texts because they knew stuff. I'm like, how do you know that?
Dude.
I'm pretty sure.
I would have been mortified.
Yeah, dude. I'm pretty sure. I feel like they only took it off like last year. Like, I feel like I'm pretty sure that I don't know how. Maybe last year's too much, but I'm like almost positive.
So, but back to the story. OP says they asked the casual, "Where have you been?" and "What time did you call us?" Something was fishy from the start, and my suspicions were proved to be correct when my dad said he knew where I had been. This continued on for a few weeks where I would spend time with him, and I even introduced him to my girlfriend and her dog as the only people that really supported me through this. Bro, even the dog is a better parent than his current parents right now.
Hey, dude, dog's man's best friend.
Bow wow.
Bow wow.
My parents' behavior has become increasingly aggressive towards me and people close to us. It's really making me question what I've done here. Was I the a-hole? And we have some relevant comments, but just really quickly, Sam, is Obi the a-hole?
Not at all. I think what's happening is the parents, they did it was IVF for like baby juice donor.
Whatever. Donation,
I imagine there's maybe some misplaced insecurity there in the parents being like, oh, like OP's gonna leave us for his real dad. But like maybe don't be crap parents and OP won't do that.
Dude, yeah, just like I totally get saying, hey, maybe he might not want to meet you, so just prepare yourself emotionally for that. But this is a totally different story.
Whack.
But we got some relevant comments. First one, how did you find him? Baby juice donors are assigned numbers. OP says his name was on my birth certificate, so I found him that way.
That's weird. That is not normal. That is weird. I've never heard that happening.
Another comment, was there some sort of arrangement? If his name is on the birth certificate, then technically he is the legal parent. OP says, in terms of arrangements, I'm not really sure why he was on the birth certificate. It's possible that he was in something like that, which would explain why he was happy when I reached out to him. Basically, like he wanted to see him, but he had an agreement to not. Yeah. You know what I mean? And we have the update.
Oh boy,
let's find out.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Oh God. So update on the situation. As I mentioned to a reply in a comment, this man was on my birth certificate, and I was told by you guys to sit them down and have a conversation about all this. So I did. After my mother returned home from work, I gathered everyone in the lounge with my bio dad on Zoom and asked why he was on the birth certificate. And here is the story.
Okay, we're getting the truth.
Bio dad met my mom 5 years before I was born and had a relationship going on for that entire time.
Ooh, baby.
For that entire time, however, I feel like I should have mentioned this before, but my parents now have been together for just over 30 years. So you do the math.
There was some meat in the middle, some meat in the middle, and some baby just squeezed out of that meat.
So that means
affair.
My mother was having an affair.
Boom. For 5 years?
Dude.
That's a while. It's a full election cycle.
Oh, yeah, for real. And more.
And more.
But in that time that they had been seeing each other, my mother became pregnant with me. My non-biological dad is actually infertile, something I didn't know about until now.
No way.
So when we found out my mother was pregnant, he reacted in a different way. He was happy for her.
Man is a cuckold. You like sitting in that chair watching.
Oh, he's thrilled.
Into it. He's thrilled, bro.
Oh my God.
Not only is it his deepest, darkest fantasy, but now he has a kid.
Now he's a kid and she gets a kid.
Win.
Oh my God.
The man is living the dream.
Bro. So she said she didn't want a divorce, but was willing to keep the baby with him. He said yes.
He's like, yeah,
bro.
Do it again.
As they had been having, they had been trying to have a child for 11 and a half years with zero luck. Like no miscarriages, nothing. Shooting blanks for over a decade.
I heard hitting it raw.
Bro,
for 11 and a half.
But they say like insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting different results. 11 years? Like
he's gone so insane that he's like, bro, you've been porking my wife for 5 years?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
let's
dude.
go.
He's like, oh my God, I thought I was gonna have to do that crap for another year.
Yeah.
Like, thank you for taking
this is
the weight. This is a miracle. I've been sweating, my guy. These old bones, they don't work like they used to.
God.
This old bone doesn't work like it used to.
Right? Hey, yo. So the reason why Biodad was named on the birth certificate was because they had an arrangement together that he would
get to watch.
No. They had an arrangement together that he would be present at the birth. At the birth.
Come on.
At the birth.
You had me.
It's the same thing.
He would be present. He would.
Without the dad that raised me being there. So he would be named on the birth certificate. And at 18, I would be encouraged to meet him and told this story. So
only half of that happened.
Exactly. OP's now 18. The parents, not only did they not tell him the story and say, hey,
actively discouraged.
They actively tried to lock him down and like punish him crazy. So in return, he would tell no one about them and would give them monthly payments as well as staying far away from her forever.
Whoa.
Wow, that's a crazy deal.
I mean, it wasn't a fair.
Yeah, but like the mom had the affair and now she's getting money from it.
Dude, I mean.
Yeah, but I guess it's like you have to stay away from obviously her and the kid for 18 years. Wow, interesting. So he upheld his end, but she didn't do the same, which disappointed my bio dad, but made him very glad that I ended up contacting him. So long story short, if any of you couldn't be bothered to read that, mother had an affair, parents kept me, my bio dad was the guy who, cheated. The bio dad got on the certificate, got to meet me at 18, and I would be told the story. I in no way will be disowning my current father. He has been the father figure that I needed in my life so many times that I just couldn't even if I wanted to. I will continue to see my bio dad and keep you updated on the progress if you guys want to be. Speaking of which, we have edit number 2.
Oh, okay.
So basically, the entire baby juice donor thing just happened to be the very first thing they thought of at the time, and they just let me believe their lie.
Yeah. So this is the origin of the baby juice story.
But that's the end of the story.
Wow.
So we got to the truth, and
hey,
all's well that ends well, I guess.
I mean, 2 dads, I guess. And, a fair dad seems kind of chill.
Dude, a fair dad's,
dude.
He's crushing it now.
He's crushing it now. Was crushing your mom earlier.
Bro, that's
so
true.
It's so true. So true. But it seems like he's a welcoming, cool guy,
I think
he knows how to share, that's for sure.
Yeah. And
oh boy.
Oh God. It ended up best for OP in the end, which I think
is
that's the best
what you want.
Yeah.
But that's the end of this episode. We got 2,000 more episodes for you. And how many hours of content, John?
53 days worth.
53 days. 53 straight days. So go check some of that out. And if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.